Hi, my name is Maridee and this is Dr. Neil.
Hi.
Hi. And we're coming to you from N Squared, a software company in Sydney, Australia. We focus on software development worldwide. And today we're going to do the last of our series on education and technology. And we're going to talk about an interesting topic called Super-Realism. So Dr. Neil, what is Super-Realism?
So Super-Realism is the ability to do things that you can't do in the real world in a digital world. So the kind of canonical example over the last couple of years has been the digital photo that you can, and you see this on the iPhone, you see it on Surface, that you can take the photo and you can zoom in on it, and you can kind of scroll around and pan on it and do things. And we see this with things like Google Maps and Virtual Earth, or Big Maps as it's called now. And we see this on a lot of the kind of advertising material. But what's interesting is how you can apply those ideas or the concept of super-realism to education, because there's a lot of things that education is kind of limited by physical world constraints often. Typically we've learned through textbooks that are very linear experience. You go through the textbook, and sure, you can jump around chapters, but the whole design of the textbook is done in a very linear way. It's done, essentially to start at chapter 1 and go through to to the last chapter and work your way through the chapters. And everyone learns in different ways, and so by creating non-linear learning experiences where the student can choose the path that best suits them, or the educator can choose a path that will best suit, or they believe will best suit that student, is an interesting opportunity. And so we can do things like that. Like Semblio gives us this non-linear activity or set of activities that we can reorganize in a non-linear way. And then if you take that to the next level in with touch, for example, you can have the activities and you can see the connections between the activities, maybe as pipes or something, and then you can move those activities around into a way that suits your learning, and you can decide how you do them, and then you can change your mind. You can go back to that. You can reorganize the table of contents to suit you on the screen as you go through those activities. And so by doing that, we're creating this in many ways very something that's very hard to do in the real world with physical objects. The other aspect of super-real is the ability to investigate virtual worlds that you really can't do in the real world. One of the examples, or one of the activities we've been building out, or we built out last year actually, is a chemistry activity that lets you take on surface table molecules and change them and move them around. And of course you can't physically do that in the real world. You can't see the energy between the molecules as you throw them together. Do they attract each other? Do they reject each other? Those kind of things that are very difficult to do. And I remember at school, when I was at school, we had these kind of balls that plugged together and you could create the molecule, but there was no attraction or rejection, or there was no dynamics to it. Now we can add the dynamics. We can actually push things together, create different elements. We can even create elements. Actually, in one of our activities, you can actually change the proton and neutron count. You can change the energy levels, electron count on particular elements, and then you can throw those elements together and see what molecules you can build. So there's some interesting things that you can do that you really can't do in the real world. The other one that real world is constrained by is information constraints. So there's only a certain amount of information you can put on a page and it still be readable. Whereas with virtual worlds and digital worlds, you can have a whole environment that the student is exploring, and they maybe find something that's the size in that environment as they're currently scaled of a pinhead, and as they zoom in, more and more text appears on it, and they could infinitely zoom in on that to create more and more information relating to that particular thing that they're exploring. And so it enables this very rich exploratory experience that you really can't get, and you really can't emulate any other way except in digital. And then you combine that with multiple students doing it at the same time in the same interface. So you get this rich social exploration that starts to happen, and students start exploring, showing each other things. Go, oh, wow, have you seen this? And by them explaining it to other people, these really super real experiences, they're reinforcing their own learning as well. So it has a lot of benefits, and I think the biggest one, to some degree, is the engagement factor, because people love to be able to do these different things. People, this kind of the constant zoom, the pan around, the zoom in, zoom out. People work that way. People, focus in on deep into something, and then they pull out, and you can see the broader picture of how everything fits together, and then you can zoom into something else, see what's interesting about that. Okay, that read a bit about that, I'm bored of that, what else is there? Oh, that fits into there like this, and then you can start drawing the lines in mentally in your head between the different things that you're discovering within this environment. And so that's it's a very rich, it gives us the opportunity to create very rich learning experiences that previously have been pretty difficult to navigate and pretty difficult to build.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah,
I love the super-realism.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So, great. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And we'll see you all again.